Hello beautiful starseeds, welcome to Starseed Energetics. My name is Ashtara, mission to bring you some of the highest frequency content, and today I have your May reading where I will be transmitting frequencies, activations, and empowerment through card readings. However, it's more than just a card reading, it's a frequency transmission, so it's basically like a healing session. And simultaneously, as I point out certain things for your mind to understand, there's also energy being healed on the same kind of facets of what I'm explaining. So if you find yourself tuning out of whatever I'm saying or not being able to understand some of the things that I'm saying, it's totally normal or fine, or even if you fall asleep, it's good. Before I begin, just say tuning into your heart. And this is what you can do to co-create the best kind of session upcoming, or create a scenario wherein this reading is very aligned to what you're receiving, is to let go of all of your expectations and be at a space where you're not expecting me to tell you something you want to hear, or that expecting me to validate something in your life. All of that kind of energy, just dropping it away. And if you do have that kind of energy where you're wanting me to validate something for you or expecting a certain outcome from this reading, that could cause a blockage or a completely misaligned reading. So with that being said, taking full deep breaths throughout the whole transmission will help you integrate these energies, and it's beneficial for your whole life in general. So full deep breaths, and I will be reminding you once in a while to take full deep breaths. So before I go into other cards, I've meditated already on the Rumi cards because they're quite deep, and I just want to point out that this is the last reading that I'm probably doing in this room, which is a house that I've lived in for the past almost a year in Bali. I'm moving to Thailand for a while, so I'll probably be vlogging my whole journey there. So if you want to see that crazy journey unfold, you can subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment, whatever. So the first card we have is the Enter the Garden of Delight. And the second card you have is From Nothing to Everything. Both of these cards really talk about going through a complete dissolution or dissolving of this sense of self that you've been holding onto, and these lower level fulfillment that you've been chasing. And biochemically speaking, a lot of this can simply be explained to chasing after dopamine circuits. If you're not aware of what dopamine is, it's just this reward hormone that floods when you do some things that create gratification. So that can be eating something sweet, eating something that's not very good for you, these junk foods, high glycemic foods, carbohydrates, sugars. All of that creates dopamine, or social media creates dopamine if you're looking for likes and looking for this instant gratification. Watching Netflix creates dopamine. Video games create dopamine. And so if you stop chasing those things, or even just like toxic relationships, actually, they create dopamine, because toxic relationships, energetically speaking, is very much similar to artificial sugar on a physical level. It's just emotional. Artificial sugar is toxic relationships. So if you find yourself not being able to get over a relationship and you feel like you're so attached and you're so in love, that's not really love. It's just dopamine addiction. So really what's happening here is you're being led to say no to everything that made you feel safe, because this is false security. Even validation, seeking validation, that's false security. And this false sense of relating to others, this false sense of chasing after certain results in your life, whether that is looking for a certain amount of influence, looking for a certain amount of money. And there's nothing wrong with those end goals in general. They are very admirable qualities to desire, but it really depends on from what frequency are you desiring those things, and for what purpose and for what intention. So this is a time that you're going to be really looking deeply into why you want certain things. And desire as a whole is not something you can infinitely generate, because desire is a polarized energy when you're experiencing it through the human vessel. So you have to really prioritize what are your deepest desires. And the funny thing is, most people are too afraid to desire what it is that they desire the most, because of the fear that it might not happen. So they settle for lesser desire. So after chasing after all these lower circuit desires from lower level intentions and from lower level frequencies, what you're being led to do is finally surrender to your highest desire from your deepest aspects of your heart and soul. And that is going to look different for everyone. But as a result, you'll be led to say no to a lot of different things that you thought were crucial to yourself before. And you're not necessarily going to know what is the next step. But what I see is you're really tired of being a slave to your own false templates, your own false light. And from this state of exhaustion and suffering arises this true desire for the deepest level of almost like a seeking or motivation to reach that level where you didn't even dare to reach before. And from there, you're entering this sacred space of becoming a complex of being, or resonating with this level of being that share truth frequency that you are finally allowing yourself to be transparent to. So that just in a nutshell talks about an ego death. But from there, you're entering the Garden of Delights, which is this field of harvest that is not available to those who have not dared to completely surrender to this level. So I'm going to read your tarot cards now. And from this level, actually, it matters little what is the next step or what is the outcome. Because this level of being is so sacred, it doesn't even have the bandwidth to worry about what's next. Okay, we have Three of Pentacles, Ace of Torches. This is really good energy. When it comes to creation, creative endeavors, and soul purpose. Five of Pentacles. All right. What's the Five of Pentacles talking about? Five of Swords. Whoa, what is that? Three of Cups. The Hanged One. And one more card. Ace of Pentacles. Clarifying the Three of Pentacles. Three of Torches, Nine of Cups. Whoa. Ace of Torches, Two of Cups. And Eight of Pentacles. Seven of Cups. Empress. Okay, in the bottom of the deck, you have the Empress, which is the divine feminine energy. Like a synthesis of all different elements into one state of being. A lot of people who've been kind of leading your life in this split character of having multiple personalities are able to really integrate their multiple facets at this time. So what I see is that it's this next month in May is going to be a very career focused, mission focused month. The paradox about your life mission and purpose and calling, which is very much evident in this spread. The whole paradox is that in order to fulfill your divine mission or your soul's calling requires a simultaneous complete surrender to your attachment towards it, which means at the end of the day, you are able to really go through this death process of this attachment that arises when you are fulfilling this mission or calling. And it's a very strange balance, because to tap into that blueprint of what your soul is here to express, it requires the level of heightening of frequency that is not relevant to this egoic rendering while it is rendering. So when you rest in that state of complete balance or equanimity about yourself, and constantly observe yourself as this is unfolding, and not even be attached to the rendering of this mission or purpose or calling, because at the end of the day there really is none when you step into a higher level of things. But then you're still simultaneously witnessing the rendering of it once you keep tuning into a higher level where your ego doesn't really hold much structure over the way you navigate. So with the Eight of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, this is like soul mission, soul purpose, and they can be perceived as two polarities of the same spectrum of creation or expression. And then it also comes up with the Two of Cups, so this could signal to a very deep alliance when it comes to this expression, or comes to this pursuit of living your blueprint, and living your blueprint and doing something and serving, being of service in some way, is just a reflection of the authenticity of the frequency that you're emitting. So whatever you do end up doing in alliance with external help or support, you're going to be making big steps towards this creation. And it's really interesting because this is a mending of this stagnant energy that you've had, where a lot of people tune in from a state of trauma and financial lack and control under time and space, and then they start working on this spiritual journey when they have an awakening, and then they start to try to manifest, and they try to program new ways of perceiving resources. But what happens for a lot of people is that manifestation creates another persona, and then the previous manifestation of this lack rendering is still there. It's very rare that one kind of can cultivate it as a holistic sphere. But what I see happening is you had this higher version of yourself kind of rendering in a separate continuum of time and space. Perhaps you had this tendency for escapism through various addictions or mental patterns, that you're projecting these higher quality traits into another spectrum of time and space, perhaps thinking about it as a future self. But now you're learning to bring that together, and it will show up as this new kind of promising opportunity or project or expression that you're creating. And so you are letting go of this stagnant energy that still was struggling with this lack, abandonment, being separated from the source of yourself, and this energy of constant conflict and battle within yourself and others. So that's a very promising energy. And what that's going to look like is that you'll find yourself effortlessly taking the right steps, effortlessly taking the right actions. And whereas before it was very difficult for you to do the right things and make the right steps, and perhaps you were procrastinating, or it just didn't feel right for you to take the obvious actions that you want to take, that you know is rational to take towards that identity that you've been cultivating. But now that you are actually integrating that identity to here and now, like this present time space continuum and referencing, you are effortlessly able to really take those actions and take those steps and change your habits. And this just starts to sync up. It's literally like if there was a software update that you didn't download into your mobile device or your computer, and you've been procrastinating the software update, and all of a sudden you get the software update. That software update was this other version of yourself that now you're honestly feeling worthy of embodying. This also comes by eliminating certain things that didn't hold true for you. When you actually start to tune into this highest level desire frequency, it literally comes as a byproduct of being able to render this version of yourself and integrate it together. So you do have this fiery energy of being able to create like you haven't had before. You have access to new energy, you have access to new motivation, and it's completely fulfilling and completely self-fulfilling as well. So you don't really rely on external circumstances or validation. And this is similar to how I spoke about dopamine. When you save your bank of dopamine and use it truly for your own priorities, it's one of the best energetic investments that you can make. And now this creation and project is going to be something that's going to pan out probably for the next couple of years, like next 2 to 3 years. So this is the beginning stages, but you are learning to be really enjoying the journey itself instead of demanding some kind of result. You know where you're going, you're focused on where you're going, but yet you're not demanding some kind of result immediately, because you're actually learning to enjoy the process itself. And that's because you're surrendered into the highest level of being and constantly putting your ego to sleep. It's almost like if your ego is running the show all the time, and now you've learned to intermittent fast from your ego kind of thing. And that's actually where intermittent fasting on a physical level is very much relevant to this energy as well, of intermittent fasting from your ego. Sure, it can have its input sometimes, but a lot of times you can allow yourself to resonate at the level where even holding on to that mental emotional structure of this egoic self is not conducive to the level of surrender that you have to this higher version of yourself. And so one final advice that I have for you is the Seven of Cups talks about having a lot of options and having a lot of choices and almost being confused and dazed. And that is the nature of our current realities. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of different desires that pull you, but be careful where you put your desire. It's like desire is an investment in itself. So constantly remind yourself of what is your highest priority when it comes to this life, and not talking about this right now versus the future and the past. It's like, what is the most important thing in your life right now? And the funny thing is, out of the technically 7 billion people, which I don't actually think there's 7 billion people that are conscious, a lot of them I feel are empty shells. But regardless of that, out of the population of humans on Earth, I literally know that at least 94% of them don't even know their true values. They don't know what is the most important to them because they're so distracted by mundane things. So just remind yourself, and if you haven't defined it, define for yourself what is the most important quality or system of viewing the world or character trait to my human experience. And whenever you find yourself suffering, remind yourself of what that value is. And if it is really your true soul value, then it would kind of obliterate the sense of suffering or conflict that you're experiencing. All right, the last cards I will read for you is the Divine Abundance card. We have Sanctity. Through offering, even the most mundane problem can be a sacrament. This is so interesting. See, we were just talking about this whole thing of you can sacrifice your egoic desire. You can sacrifice your egoic narratives. You can sacrifice your mundane problems and be committed to focusing on your higher values. Loss, Divine Abundance. So sometimes you learn true offering through loss. You make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. So this is a theme here. So loss is coupled with love. It's like whatever you thought was this frequency of love, whatever you thought was the frequency of fulfillment, was actually not. It was distorted. So once you offer that up and admit to yourself, okay, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. this is not my true desire. This is not the level at which I will allow myself to vibrate. Then you open up and ask the field, show me what real love is. Show me what true fulfillment is. Show me what my soul's desire actually is. And allow it to show up and let it lead the way, because it's not going to show up as a package of some concrete manifestation. It's going to show up as a way of life. And it's going to show up as a filter in which you can perceive your entire reality. It's like an upgrade of your software. Then this is all saying the same thing. Oh my goodness. I will read you the meaning, but this also talks about even your sense of abundance had been partial. Even the sense of wealth that you were chasing was nothing more than surface level. So surrender into, I'm open to experience whatever is the true emanation of divine abundance, not just some surface level crap. Then it shows up. So you're literally letting go of all of the conceptual frameworks of what you thought love was, what you thought fulfillment was, what you thought abundance was. And you're opening up to what is it truly when it comes from source of life itself. Like, show me the actual hyperdimensional rendering of this frequency. And the caption here is, you were born to align with love's will, follow the Tao, and serve something beyond the ego. Learn to be abundance, not chase it. So becoming the frequency in itself. And that's the journey you're on right now. Okay, thank you so much for being part of this beautiful community. If you enjoy this transmission and you want to go deeper with my work, you can visit my Patreon. Sending so much love, and I'll see you very, very soon in the next video. Bye.